Hello guys, welcome to my channel Study Creatively. Here I have Civics, the Union Legislature, one short detailed explanation for you guys. So before starting this video, a grand reminder that don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Okay, so without wasting further time, let's start with what we are here to do. Here we are going to be talking about Union Legislature. Okay, so today's topic is Union Legislature. We are going to talk about Civics 10th ICSE chapter. Here, as we know, the Constitution says us to have these things: legislative, executive and judicial. Like in whole civics, you are going to be talking about these things only. Like if I talk about this legislative part, this is what we are going to be starting today. And in legislative, we have to talk about president and the parliament. Today we are going to talk about the union parliament. By the chapter only you get to understand this thing, I hope. So that is in legislature. Then executive, you have prime minister and the council of ministers. That's it. You need to just talk about who is prime minister. Basically about president also we deal in executive part only, and in legislature part we just used to talk about the parliaments, the union parliament and your Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. Here we whatever going to talk about, that we will be talking about in a central level. So we are going to look at the prime minister and the president. Then in judicial, we are going to be talking about all these three courts that are really very important. So starting with the first segment. So as I already talked about, in constitution it says to develop legislature, executive and judicial. Today we are going to be talking about the parliament, Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. So without wasting further time, let's go ahead. So here we are going to be talking about the union legislature. See, look, in this chapter we are going to be talking about the parliaments. We are going to talk about how constitution allows us to have the parliaments. Like in here, the parliament, the constitution of India lays down that there shall be parliament for the union. Okay, here we are talking about the union. The parliament consists of the elected representative of the people, consists of the elected representatives of the people who make laws for the people on their behalf. So we used to elect the people who are going to make the laws and the provisions for us and our behalf. So obviously they will be it has to be in our favor. Sometimes it's not, because it's for their benefit. But yeah, the major cause for what the parliament is being meant for is this only. And then talking about the Lok Sabha, as I already talked about, that constitution used to, like in constitution it's given that you should have three things. Firstly, you should have your legislature, then you should have your executive, then you should have your judiciary. These are the three levels that constitution has asked us to prepare. And today we are going to be talking about legislature, into which we are going to be talking about the parliaments. And in parliament we have two bodies. We have your Lok Sabha and we have your Rajya Sabha. Talking about Lok Sabha first, and then we will be talking about Rajya Sabha as well in the very same video. Okay, talking about the Lok Sabha, its composition is the first point that we are going to look at. So in composition we can see that the lower house of the parliament is called Lok Sabha. It consists representatives of the people. The constitution originally fixed a maximum strength of the Lok Sabha at 500 members. So this is something that you need to remember. So 500 members is something that you need to remember. Then the present strength of Lok Sabha is 545 members. So basically they have asked to fix the maximum strength for 500, but today's present strength is 545 members. And this is about the composition, and that's how you have to even write in your papers as well. Then parliamentary constituencies, territorial areas set up for the purpose of election in each state or union territory, known as parliament constituencies. Remember, what are parliament constituencies? They are nothing but they are the territorial areas which are set up for the purpose of election. See, a country in terms of size, in terms of length, in terms of population even, is very large in number. So therefore we need to divide the areas, and those areas in which the elections are going to take place are going to be called as parliamentary constituencies. So basically here in at present there are 545 constituencies against 543 seats. So we have seats 543 and against them we have 545 constituencies to be considered for the Lok Sabha. Now talking about reservation of seats, as far as reservation of seats is concerned, we are going to look at the point like the reservation is to be made on the basis of the population ratio of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes for 49 seats. Please do remember these numbers. They support your answer, and I don't think so they are very in large number also. So please do remember them. Do watch it again and again so you will get the idea about the numbers to remember. And as far as it is concerned to be remembered, when you hear it again and again you will automatically get it fit into your brain. So yeah, do watch it on repeat mode. Okay, so the reservation is to be made on the basis of the population ratio of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes for 49 seats. Do remember this. The election of the Lok Sabha is a direct, that is the people themselves elect the candidate of their choice. See, election can be done by two ways. So election has two ways to get through. First is direct method of election. Second is indirect method of election. Talking about direct method of election, we mean to say when people directly elect the public, like when people directly elect the members for the parliament in Lok Sabha, that is direct election. So when people directly elect their representative, that to whom they want to that should be representing them, that is direct election. And indirect election, when these members who were already elected by the people used to vote, then they are going to be indirect election. When the members who are elected by the public are going to elect the other members for the post, we say it is an indirect method of election. Okay, then election is held through secret ballot. Remember this thing also, very important, that elections with the secret ballot is a mechanism which supports the election. Either it's in a direct method or indirect method. Secret ballot is what supports the election. That is, every voter casts his or her vote secretly for a candidate of his or her choice without fear. So without fear it is made. Okay, so this was about reservation of seats. So you need to remember how many seats were reserved for which schedule, and the tribes, like scheduled caste and scheduled tribes should have 49 seats. For them it's reserved according to the population ratio. Okay, then qualification for membership, like if you want to be the member of the parliament, you need the qualifications to get passed. So कोई भी ऐसे ही मुँह उठा के नहीं जा सकता पार्लियामेंट में. So qualification for membership is he or she should be a citizen of India. I think it's the most basic and the logical, because whatever we are doing according to India. Whatever the constitution we are following of India. So Indian citizen has to be there in the parliament. Okay, he or she should not be less than 25 years of age. Do remember the age criteria, age eligibility. It's very important. You need to be above 25 years. So you can remember it like you be the member of parliament? So no, I can't, because my age is not that. So 25 years of age has to be, like, the person has to be more than 25 years of age, and then he or she should not be proclaimed criminal. Okay, no criminal. Then that is, he or she should not be a convict, a confirmed debtor, or otherwise disqualified by law. So yeah, this was the criteria for qualification. Condition for membership, then he or she should have his or her name in the electoral rolls in a part of the country. So he also should be a voter, electoral rolls in the country. Okay, so he should also be the voter. Now moving on to the next point, and the next qualifications is he or she should hold an office of profit under the government of India. Do remember any five, I'm discussing all with you, but according to your convenience, whatever you remember remember, see, sometimes in the question it's given that except being an Indian citizen, what are the other qualifications required for being a member in parliament? So please do remember, like, except Indian citizen, other also, okay? And then he or she should hold an office of profit under the government of India or government of any state, but not a minister for the union for a state. Okay, so this is a little bit tricky and you need to learn it or remember it for more. So therefore I don't advise you to do so, to do this one. Moving on, he or she is of unsound mind and stands so declared by a competent court. So competent court should declare that they are perfect for membership, okay? They are not mad. He or she she is an undercharged insolvent, okay? Then he or she has ceased to be a citizen of India or has voluntarily acquired citizenship of a foreign state or is under acknowledged alliance or adherence to a foreign power. He or she disqualified by under any law made the parliament, okay? So if they are being disqualified by any law, other law that have been made, and according to that if they are disqualified, then again they are not suitable for being a member of in a parliament, okay? Then talking about the next topic, which is vacation of seat. Talking about this one here, what do we mean is that the member of the Lok Sabha may vacate his seat simple by writing a letter to the speaker indicating the fact that he or she is vacating his seat. Vacating, I hope you know the meaning of this word vacating, which means that he or she leaving his seat, okay? Sometimes what happen in, like, you have seen into the news also, like very recently you have seen like Punjab's minister, state minister, chief minister has resigned to his seat. So there can be two methods of resigning to the seat. A member of the Lok Sabha may vacate his seat simple by writing a letter to the speaker indicating the fact that he or she is vacating his seat. And then the second way is he or she may be removed on grounds of defection per norms laid down under the term schedule. So maybe like if they voluntarily resign, or it could be like they were being dismissed or they have been removed. Then third is he or she may also be removed if he or she is absent from the house for more than 60 days. Please do remember these three ways of vacating the office. Like, vacating is something not always voluntarily, sometimes you have been removed also. And if it comes to removement, like when the member is removed, then into that case there can be two situations, and simply if they resign, then that's by just a letter stating that they are resigning. And then tenure, talking about the tenure for the Lok Sabha is 5 years. This is, I think, pretty simple. You know that after every 5 year you are going to elect your prime minister, you are going to elect the members for the parliament, okay? Then sessions. A session referred to the period during which the house meet to conduct business. The session of the Lok Sabha are summoned by the President of India. This could come in one marker. Who summons your Lok Sabha? So it's President who summons it. So do remember this also. So quorum is the minimum number of members that is 1/10 of the total strength. Remember what I have told in the earlier slide about the strength? 545, I think, even I forgot. So you should remember 545 members has to be there. And for quorum, 1/10 of this total strength of the house required to conduct the business of the house. So if 1/10 members are not going to be present to conduct the business, then I hope you understood after this, like the session won't be held, okay? So the requirement for the session to held is 1/10 of the total number of members or total strength of the house, okay? So quorum is the minimum number of members, यानी कम से कम इतना तो चाहिए ही चाहिए बिजनेस करने के लिए. अकेला एक आदमी नहीं करेगा, 1/10 of the strength चाहिए. Then next is languages of the parliament. Now, talking about the languages of the parliament, the members of the parliament may use Hindi or English debates or discussions in the house. So there can be Hindi or English, any language being used. Okay, sorry for the background music. Then the speaker. The speaker is the presiding officer of the Lok Sabha. Do remember this line, okay? That who is the presiding officer of the Lok Sabha? It's a speaker, speaker. So a speaker is the presiding officer. He is selected by the house from among its member to simple majority, by simple majority. So among its member, do remember this point also. These are very important and very short. You should remember all of them, and they are really very easy. Like I've provided in the form of notes to you, and do remember all these points that I'm telling you. Okay, he is selected by the house from among its members. Do remember this line, that whosoever is the speaker, they will be elected among its members. Then the constitution provides that when the house is dissolved, the speaker shall not vacate his office. So remember, when the house is going to dissolve, like after every 5 year, house is going to get dissolved, and in that case the speaker shall not vacate his office, should not leave his office immediately when the house is vacant. Then the normal term for the speaker is 5 years. The normal term is 5 years, but immediately, like as soon or as far as Lok Sabha dissolution is concerned, the speaker is not dissolved immediately or has been removed or is going to vacate his office immediately. Then removal of the speaker. How can speaker can be removed? Okay, how speaker can be removed? Then the speaker may resign from his office by submitting a letter of resignation addressed to the deputy speaker. Okay, resignation letter to the deputy speaker, and then he can resign. Power and function of the speaker, very important, very very important. Then power of the speaker is is being divided into 3 parts: regulatory powers, supervisory powers, and miscellaneous powers. You can go through these powers, giving you 2 minutes. I'm pausing, and then you can go through these powers and read through them, and in the comment section do write which are the ones that you are going to attempt and going to remember for long. So I'm moving ahead. I hope you get all the powers that there are. No confusions, no doubts. Moving on. The Rajya Sabha, the second house, the second point, or the second thing that we need to remember in the parliament chapter. Lok Sabha is what we done. We talked about the presiding officer, like the person who supervises the Lok Sabha, the members that there are, the composition, vacancy, how can, qualifications of membership, all the important points that there should be, there are in syllabus. I have discussed all. Now moving on to Rajya Sabha. So as far as Rajya Sabha is concerned, the Rajya Sabha of the Council of State is the upper house, and we used to say Lok Sabha as the lower house. I'm going to compare the two so that you can remember, because that is something that could even come. Okay, so lower house is your Lok Sabha, upper house is your Rajya Sabha. L for lower, L for Lok, and then Rajya Sabha and your upper house, opposite of lower. Okay, then Rajya Sabha or the Council of States, to remember the other names. You even can say Rajya Sabha as Council of States. Is the upper house of the Union Parliament. It represents the regional interest of the 28 state and 7 union territories. Okay, so it is about the state-wise sabhas. Okay, Rajya Sabha, it represents the regional interest of the 28 states and 7 union territories. Then composition. The maximum strength goes Rajya Sabha is 250 members. Okay, remember there how many and here how many. Remember, please do make a chart for your own to compare Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Do make it. Okay, here I have made in the slides form, but you need to remember how many strength are required in Lok Sabha, how many members are being can be the members of Lok Sabha, and how many can of the Rajya Sabha. So here in the Rajya Sabha we have 250 members, 238 members are elected by the states. See, there the elections is in direct form, that is the public is going to elect all the members. Here it is not in the same manner. here the elections are going to held in indirect manner. That is, the 238 members are elected by the state and union territories, and 12 members are nominated by the president of India. Nominations are also going to happen, and which is by the president of India. So do remember this thing, do remember this point, which differentiates again Lok Sabha with the Rajya Sabha, how the two houses are different from each other. In Lok Sabha, there is no nomination. There is a direct method which is opted for the election of the members. Whereas, as far as Rajya Sabha is concerned, we are going to have total 250 members maximum strength. Out of 238 are going to be elected by the states and union territories, and 12 members are going to get nominated by the president of India, among from persons having a special knowledge or practical experience in the past. I hope you remember about Sachin Tendulkar for his cricket skills. He has been nominated in Rajya Sabha. Okay, he has not been to the elections, but he has been nominated by the president. Okay, literature or social science qualification for membership. This is for the Rajya Sabha members. Okay, do remember it. Qualifications: he or she must be 30 years of age. In Lok Sabha you require 25, and here in Rajya Sabha you should have been more than 30 years of age. Even this is valid for the nominations. Okay, so whosoever president is nominating, that person should also be above the age of 30. Okay, then he or she should not be a proclaimed offender. He or she should not have his name on the electoral list. He or she should not hold office of profit under the government. Now, talking about the tenure. Okay, so this is something important. The Rajya Sabha is a permanent house, and to the Lok Sabha we say it is a temporary house. So do remember whatever I'm telling you meanwhile the video, and you need to remember this, that Rajya Sabha is a permanent house, whereas as far as Lok Sabha is concerned, it is a temporary house. 1/3 of the members retire every 2 years. See, what do we mean by permanent and temporary house? So as I said, Lok Sabha is the temporary house and Rajya Sabha is the permanent house, and even we used to say Rajya Sabha as the upper house and Lok Sabha as the lower house. Now talking about temporary house, what do we mean by temporary house is that it can be dissolved in between 5 years in tenure, in when the Lok Sabha is is working, is running, we can dissolve it within 5 years. Whereas as far as Rajya Sabha is concerned, it can never be dissolved, it can never be adjourned. Okay, it can be adjourned but it cannot be dissolved. Okay, so therefore we say it is a permanent house, whereas as far as Lok Sabha is concerned, it is temporary house, which means it can be dissolved. Okay, then quorum. Okay, I no, before talking about quorum, let's move on to sessions. The session of the Rajya Sabha is summoned by the President of India. It's not Resident of India, it's President of India. So do correct it. It's President of India. There's a mistake. There must be at least 2 sessions of the Rajya Sabha in year. 2 sessions of the Rajya Sabha in a year. Quorum is 1/10 of the total membership of the Rajya Sabha constitute the quorum for holding a meeting of the house. That is a similarity in Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha, that in Lok Sabha also we need 1/10 of the total strength, and here also we need 1/10. But if you see here, that is 1/10 of the total membership constitute the quorum for holding a meeting for the house. And privileges of members of parliament. What are the privileges? Okay, so if you are a member of the parliament, what do you get in return? What are your privileges? Okay, then you have freedom of speech, freedom from arrest, freedom for jury service, freedom of movement. So these are your privileges being a member of parliament. Whether Rajya Sabha or the Lok Sabha, doesn't matter, but you will get all the privileges that are there for Lok Sabha members, and similarly to the Rajya Sabha members as well. Now freedom to regulate their affairs, facilitates and allowance is also the rest of the privileges that you will get being a member. Then parliamentary procedures, certain formalities which the legislator observes in the parliament as well as in the state legislatures are known as parliamentary procedures. Do remember what do we mean by parliamentary procedures. These are the short things that could come and would take your marks away from you. So do remember these small terms, and even the conditions that there in the chapters, like for qualifications and all that. Then oath, the elected members in the general election by election of midterm elections have to take an oath and affirm solemnly before taking part in the proceedings of the house according to the form set for the purpose in the third schedule of the constitution. Then quorum is something that we have already talked about, that is minimum number of members required to be present in the house before it can transact its business, and we know in both the houses we need 1/10 of the total strength of the members. 1/10 of the total strength is the minimum required for conducting the business in the house. Then casting vote, decision in the house is taken unanimously or by a majority vote, but if the votes for and against a proposition are equal, that is to say that if there is a tie, the speaker of the respective houses has the power to cast his vote in order to decide the issue. Such a vote is known as the casting vote. So do remember what do we mean by a casting vote. So casting vote is a vote made by speaker when there is a tie. Okay, that means the votes have came for propositions, that is for agreement equivalent to the votes that are there for against the bill or the act or any law. Okay, then question hour, the first hour of every working day of the house is normally reserved for questions to be asked by the members. Okay, so you need to remember what do we mean by question hour. The first hour of every working day of the house is normally reserved for questions to be asked by the members. Then resolution, a resolution is a motion through which the house expresses its majority opinion on a matter of public interest. A member must give a 15-day notice before bringing up such a motion. Do remember this also. Okay, I know that I'm saying a lot to remember, but then you need to remember. See, civics is a subject where each and every point is very important. Okay, and I've made this all these notes in a way like they are being in very short and everything they contain. So even if you don't go to the chapter at all, you would have get help. Now what is motion? Motion is when a matter of urgent public interest is sought to be discussed in the house. It is called motion of thanks. The first session of the new parliament, that is after every 5 years when the new parliament is going to be, it could be like of the same party, but it is a new parliament every now again the oaths are going to be taken place and everything. Okay, so the first session of the new parliament and the first session of of every fiscal year, I hope you remember what is a fiscal year, which starts from 1st April instead of 1st January. So fiscal year from 1st April to 31st March of the next year. Here are addressed by the president. Do remember this point also. Now substantive motion, it is a resolution expressing opinion of the house on a particular manner. So this is your substantive motion where you are going to express your opinion to the house in a particular manner. Okay, then motion for impeachment, when the president or the vice president, the speaker or a judge acts in violation of the constitution, the parliament moves a resolution to impeach such a dignitary. Okay, so that is what we say, motion for impeachment. I hope you remember what do we mean by impeachment. Impeachment is something when you want it should resign, it should leave, impeachment. Okay, then adjournment motion, the adjournment motion is meant to compel the government to take proper action in order to solve the problem. The no confidence motion, a no confidence motion is a negative vote which can be passed against one minister or the entire ministry. Do remember this, this is really very important, that a no confidence motion is a negative okay, is a negative statement or a negative vote which can be passed against one minister or the entire ministry. Then parliamentary committees, business advisory committee, select committee, then powers of the parliament, really very important. You need to go through all these powers that a parliament has. Do remember them, do read it from the video. It is in short, so you will get the help. Okay, so moving ahead, I'm moving to the financial powers. Financial powers. The parliament controls the union finances. Nothing can be spent or controlled by the way of taxes without the approval of the parliament. I hope you remember every year there is, budget being made by the government. Okay, being made by the government. So annual budget, the parliament passes the union budget, which is the statement containing estimates of income and expenditure for the financial year, which begins from 1st April and ends on 31st March of the following year. That is annual budget. Okay, then consolidated fund of India, very important. Okay, do remember about this fund, consolidated fund of India. Then certain items of expenditure such as salary of the president, judges of the Supreme Court and other top officials are not put to vote in the parliament. Our constitution lays down that such expenditure shall be met from a central fund called the consolidated fund of India. So consolidated fund is nothing but it is the central fund from where all the expenditures of salaries judges ki, aapke president ki are going to get paid. Then salaries of the members of the parliament decide the salaries and allowances of its members and other dignitaries such as ministries. So it's on the parliament to decide the amount which they are going to give as in reward to the members of the parliament. Okay, then control over the executive, then control over the government. The constitution provides that the union council of ministers collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. So union council ministers are collectively responsible. Okay, so if there is going to be no confidence motion get passed, it is for whole ministry, not just for any member. It would be against whole ministry. Okay, so whole council of minister is collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. Right of interpellation, when the parliament is in session, 1 for a day is reserved for asking question from the government. This hour is known as question hour, and the right to ask the question, the right of asking questions is called the right of interpellation. Do remember this term also, interpellation, which is the right for asking question. Then adjournment motion, the parliament can exercise its control over the government through the adjournment motion, which are tabled on serious matters such as total railway accident. Okay, other motion of censure, such motions include motion of censure against a minister or minister's rejection of a government bill and passing of a private member's bill against the wishes of the government. Then monetary controls, the parliament can exercise a monetary control over the government by voting cut in the budget or a cut in the salaries of the ministers, because we know that the salaries are going to be given to the ministers by the parliament only. It is on the parliament how much they want to give. Okay, then then judicial powers, the parliament can impeach the president for any violation of the constitution. Okay, so that is a judicial power with the parliament, that they could impeach the presidency. President can never be removed, it is always impeached. Okay, so you will get to know about this process in your book of impeachment. Okay, then the parliament can remove the judges of the Supreme Court, the High Court, the Election Commissioner and the Controller and Auditor General of India if they are found guilty of violating clause of the Constitution. The parliament can condemn a person irrespective of his status if he is found guilty of defamation and contempt of either House of Parliament. Then electoral functions, it along with the state legislative assemblies elect the President of India. Both the houses of the Parliament elect the Vice President of India. Okay. Then the Lok Sabha elects its speaker and deputy speaker from among its members. Then the Rajya Sabha elects its deputy chairman. So in the Rajya Sabha, we have presiding officer as the chairman of the house, whereas in case of Lok Sabha, we have speaker. In Rajya Sabha, we have chairman. Here in Lok Sabha, we had your speaker. Okay, the parliament also make laws to regulate the conduct of elections in the country. Miscellaneous powers are there. Then you can go through these miscellaneous powers. They are like, something that you can go through. They are very easy. Okay, so this was about miscellaneous powers. Now moving on to the relationship between the two houses of the parliament. Firstly, we are going to see the difference in the legislative field. Legislative matters are either concerned with ordinary bills or monetary bills. Remember this, what are ordinary bills and monetary bills? In case of ordinary bills, the Rajya Sabha has almost equal powers to that of the Lok Sabha. An ordinary bill may originate in either house of parliament. It becomes an act after having been assented by the president. Then money bills, as far as money bills are concerned, the Rajya Sabha here practically no powers, has practically no powers. All money bills relating to taxation or expenditure must be emitted in the Lok Sabha. So remember, ordinary bills are going to be passed by both the houses, whereas money bills are only going to get passed in the Lok Sabha and not in the Rajya Sabha. Though they were sent for 14 days, and after 14 days, see if there is any suggestion for the by the Rajya Sabha to the Lok Sabha about any money bill, they could give, but the assent is on the Lok Sabha. If they assented it, then they will go. Okay, so it has to be passed just to the Lok Sabha, not to the Rajya Sabha. Then when such a bill is passed to the Lok Sabha, it is referred to the Rajya Sabha for its approval. Okay. Then control over the executive. Both the houses have the right to ask questions and to introduce various kinds of motions against the government. We have discussed all the motions that there were, okay, that they could pass. Either it's no confidence motion or adjournment motion, any motion they want to pass. Then election of the president and the vice president of India, both the house enjoys equal rights in these elections. Then impeachment, both the house has equal rights in the matters of impeachment of the president. As I just said, that president can never be removed, it can always be impeached. Okay, and both the houses have involvement in that impeachment. Then subjects of the state list, it is a privilege of the Rajya Sabha to decide that a particular subject in the state list has assumed national importance or not, and that it should be included in the union list of subjects. Then all India service, the Rajya Sabha can decide by 2/3 majority to set up a new all India service. Remember, it cannot be done by Lok Sabha. It is only in the hands of the Rajya Sabha to set up new India service. Okay, all India service. Then emergency provisions, when a state of national emergency is proclaimed due to external aggression or internal disturbance, and the Lok Sabha is dissolved, because remember I said that Lok Sabha is a temporary house, it can be dissolved. And when it can be dissolved, this is a point where you have to remember, in case of national emergency it can be dissolved. Okay, the Rajya Sabha looks after all the responsibility of the union legislature. Okay, legislative procedure in the parliament, passing of ordinary bills. Okay, talking about that. Then expenditure through grants for the issuing financial year. The following bills are to be noted in respect of procedure for passing the money bills. Prior presidential bill. A money bill can be introduced in the parliament only with the approval of the President of India. Introduction of the bill. A money bill is introduced in the Lok Sabha by the finance minister. Okay. The second reading. So the bill is clause by clause, and amendments are proposed and put to vote just as it is done in case of ordinary bills. Then the third reading, the bill is then passed or rejected as a whole by a majority vote of the house. In the Rajya Sabha, the Rajya Sabha must return the money bill with or without its recommendations within 14 days from the date of its receipt. This is what I have already talked about. The president assent. The president is obliged to give his assent to the money bill as his right prior approval, as it has his prior approval. Then special features of the budget: estimate expenditure, voting of demands, the appropriation bill, the finance bill, then question in the parliament. So there can be various questions that can be asked, and we have categorized into the following list. So that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.